Hello and welcome to Frozen Synapse 2 Developer Diary number 22. I'm Ian Hardingham, designer and lead programmer on Frozen Synapse 2, and today we're going to have a look at a lot of little odds and ends that I've been cleaning up in preparation for the beta, some new user interface stuff for the city. I'm going to talk about the beta and what you guys can expect from it, and we will answer some questions in the mailbag. Also, there is some construction work going on next door, and I have a cold, so the audio quality is going to be even worse than usual. Let's get into it. Okay, here we are in the city, and those of you who've watched a lot of these videos will hopefully see something different. It's significantly less ugly than it was before. Last week, with Paul and Robin, we blitzed through making the user interface of the city a lot more becoming and nice and professional, and not so programmer art-y. So I'll show you around the various things. We have moved all of the ugly buttons and everything into a nice modern bar at the bottom. These buttons here are going to be icons eventually with mouse over, but you can get a pretty good feel for a sort of minimalist thing we're going for here. The action tokens also aren't done with being sorted out, but are a little bit tidier at least, and use the right font at least. I'm especially pleased with how these windows on the right are looking. This window at the bottom is the shortcuts window. It allows you to get anywhere important as quickly as you like. So if, for instance, if I accept a contract from the parcel tossers, the location of where I'm going appears suddenly on here. Also, if I press play and wait for an incursion to happen, the incursion location arrives on here as well. So FS2 is a very big, complicated game, easy to get lost. The shortcuts bar is a really nice way of keeping things under control, and that's looking pretty nice. Now, this displays what's in a building that you're looking at, and this is just taking the information that's on there before and adding icons to everything, doing it in the right font. And I have to say, I'm really proud of how this has turned out. I think it looks really nice, looks really exciting, awesome to see the unit icons next to the units. As always, tell me what you think. A lot of this stuff is under progress still, but I think this game is starting to look pretty cool, and you can see on the main map, my goodness, that's a lot of stuff. Just the little labels look a lot more professional and nice, having only their faction name shortenings coloured and having the icons in there. So I think this is starting to look like a real game, which is good because it's about bloody time it did. There are still 1,000 things left to do, but this is kind of where we're at. So yes, let me know what you think about it. The interact menu is still very much work in progress. We need to get icons for everything. We need to tidy this up. But this is what that's going to look like. We'll click on back there. So that's a big change. We've tidied up the factions windows. We've got in most of the new faction icons. We've still got some old Frozen Cortex icons in here, and in fact for some of the minor factions we are going to be using some of the millions of icons we had made Frozen Cortex. I really like a lot of the Cortex ones. I'm a big fan of this one and this one. That might be a little bit too small. No, I like that one as well. But for instance, this one, those are new. Dime Brothers, Markov Geist, Municipal Council, those are new icons. I know it's just icons, but it makes the game feel a lot better. And of course we've got everyone's avatar image in there as well. Have I done anything else useful? We've tidied up a few other things. Oh yeah, we now have the unit merc avatars in here as well as their unit icons. Still putting some work into that. Might increase the size of this a little bit. We still have nothing on the actual mercenary description screen, but that'll change very soon. So that is the user interface. Now, let's have a quick look at the first incursion. It's just arrived here, and we're going to send our strike team there. So I'm going to press play. We have a lot of please waits, which is the AI doing its calculation, and you guys in the beta will see this. Oh, okay, he's telling us not to get in the way of his plans. Okay, it's a bit annoying right now. Obviously, I will do work on that, but you should expect to see that in the beta. Now, also, another thing that we are going to be doing for the beta is working on the tutorials of the city game. Anyone who's in the beta will hopefully know how to play Frozen Synapse, so the in-mission stuff tutorials will not be there, but we do have to do some teaching of the myriad of features on the city level. I'm planning on getting together with Paul for one day next week to blitz through that. There's already a little bit of a progression in the game of telling you what to do, but we don't really have any instructions. And Paul is sure to have some very clear ideas about how to make that obvious to people who don't know how to tie their shoelaces, etc. So anyway, part of the whole initial experience of the game is that the first couple of levels should probably be relatively easy. Now, in the full game, we are planning on having 3 optional tutorial missions that are in the city, but are basically completely canned, but do involve you sending squads places and getting a bit of reward for doing that. We still have to find a way of teaching the in-mission stuff. People have complained about every single tutorial I've ever made, but Paul's been playing stuff like Breach and Clear and Door Kickers. Apparently there's some nice elements to their tutorials. I think for us, if we make the first 3 missions that you play in the city when you first play a Frozen Synapse game feel like they are just part of the city, as if they were part of everything else was just completely dynamic, that's probably going to be a good experience, probably going to be the best experience. So that's a lot of waffle. Most of the people listening to this, that's not going to be relevant to you guys, but we have to make this game accessible so lots of new people like it and tell their friends to buy it. Then I can keep affording to drink beer, which would be good. Right, so we're going to attack this incursion. So, I don't know if this will work. Should work. The very first incursion that happens is not a contested incursion. It is one which only you go to. All the other ones are contested. But this one, the other factions will not actually go for. And it's also incredibly easy. These 2 submachine gunners, I was told off for calling them Uzis by someone on the videos a couple of weeks ago. They won't be called Uzis in the final game. It's just programmer words. It's almost impossible for an Uzi to kill a machine gunner. Like, it really is extremely difficult. So this is just a completely noddy mission. But again, as for people who haven't played this game before, it's very good to have something easy at the beginning. I hate thinking about that. I like everything to be really difficult in these games, but the first mission is going to be quite easy. I'm not going to particularly bother playing through this, but I will click Prime to see if my friend the artificial intelligence is doing anything useful at all. Generally, he just runs away with Uzis because they're so bad. So at least he's being somewhat intelligent about something. We need to change this loading screen as well. That displays the old green city. Why is this taking so long? Ah, here we go. Right, well that guy died, and this guy is just hiding, looking out a window, which looks pretty good to me. Actually, yes, I've just seen this. Now, with the focus aim diamond, you're going to want to be seeing where your enemies were focus aiming at certain parts of previous turns, when you can't actually select them, especially in multiplayer. So I just put in this functionality where you mouse over an enemy, or indeed a friendly, and you see where he's focus aiming at any individual time. We probably need to have this fade in, so it's not quite such a dramatic effect. I'd like to see that fade up and fade down nicely, but that's just a little bit of a usability thing. So there you go. We've also added, I don't know if this is in, this is something we really should have had in FS. In FS, it did not show you when you were engaged with someone. Now, this was less of a problem with the FS1, although it was a problem. There's a little thing there that's supposed to be an exclamation mark. I don't know what that actually is, but it will be an exclamation mark. It was less of a problem in FS1 because you didn't have move and shoot, but in FS2 it's really super important to be seeing precisely when a unit is engaging and when they are not. So that's a little extra thing as well. Basically, I've spent the last month, and I'm sorry about not having had any more development videos, it's been a very busy month, just fixing a huge amount of bugs so that when people start playing the closed beta and start giving me real feedback, they can actually get through several hours of this game without it crashing or going terribly wrong. And that's not very exciting to be able to talk about all these bugs, but there you go, I have shown you some stuff. Let's talk about the beta next. So it is not too late to apply for the closed beta. If you send me a nice email at ian@mode7games.com, I'm more likely than not to add you to the list. I believe we have 70 people so far, so adding a few more would be nice. I'm in general going to keep up these development updates. There'll be plenty of interesting stuff if you're not involved in the beta. Don't worry, it's not going to suddenly become just about the beta, but I will need to talk about it a couple of times. So I'm hoping to get the beta out next Friday the 10th of March. I just don't know if that's going to happen. It depends on the tutorial work going okay, and it depends on me getting through all the bugs and Robin being able to play for 4 hours in a row with nothing going wrong. So it'll either be the 10th, or it might be 2 weeks after that, but it is imminent in this month. I think we've got the game to the point where the feedback you guys give will be legitimately useful. It is sort of complete enough that you are getting a real feeling for what this game is supposed to be like to play, but it lacks some features, some content. I haven't played it for like 10 hours in a row, so I don't know what the mid and end game are exactly like, even though I have designed them reasonably well. So this is the right time for a beta. Right time for you guys to tell me it doesn't run fast enough on your laptops. That's going to scare me as well. So that's kind of where that is. So ask me any questions about that on the developer comments. But as I say, maybe a week, maybe 3 weeks. We'll see. Okay, it's the mailbag. Wutav Mayan asks that with walls that have so few doors, will it be too easy to protect your own base? That's a very good question. This is based on this dev video from a month ago where I talked about how there are sort of very few entrances to buildings now. I think the place where that could be difficult is in multiplayer, when one human is attacking another and he's set up his defenses very well. Having said that, I'm just going to see how that turns out, how that actually happens. I'm going to see the feedback that we get when people are actually playing this in multiplayer. You know, 2 or 3 or 4 doors into a property with the ability to deploy at any one of the entrances on turn 1 gives you quite a lot of freedom. So I'm sort of cautiously optimistic that we're not going to have a problem with that. Let me just check that I'm recording. Yes, I am. Marcus Johansson asks, won't stealth plus the focus iron be OP, as you can win every engagement on your first turn? Now, it's a great question. In my experience, though, when you have a stealth situation, all of the fun and the excitement of that is trying to get into a position where you can have an extremely good turn. Because you alert people the second a bullet is fired, there's no killing one person in a stealth way, then killing the next one. Because you basically only have one chance to stealth kill as many people as possible. Getting into a position to do that optimally, trying to work out where the enemy is patrolling, is really, really, really fun, and that works really well. So again, I'll look for the feedback on that once you guys are playing it. Now, I can only read half of Kasebrot's question because YouTube doesn't want to give me the other half. But he says that, how does the AI handle dark levels? Well, because you guys are such great video watchers, I'm going to be honest, the AI just does always know where you are at the moment, and that was true in FS1 as well. So I'm considering possibly having your unit locations be a sort of a randomized area to them around where you actually are. Possibly the AI could just like completely put a pin in a map sort of and guess you're in a lot of different places, and he has no idea. I haven't worked on the code for that yet. That's one of the things I need to do in the next couple of months. That could be really, really interesting. I got away with it in FS1 basically. Trying to get the AI to do anything useful when it doesn't know where you are might be quite challenging, but we'll see. Atrox93 says that the clutter on the generation of an outside area doesn't look natural, and you are completely right. We are still trying to get all that stuff right. Goo Mushroom thinks that our government building looks like the Millennium Falcon, and that's awesome. Some very nice commenter with a cat avatar and a Russian name that I have no hope of pronouncing asked for the game to be translated into Russian. I will talk about that for a little bit. There's basically no chance that we can do significant localization of the majority of the text in the game. We're going to be putting a lot of text into this game. The dialogue has just a huge number of words. It would end up costing a huge amount of money. But we may well localize all of the menus and the buttons and the icons and everything to make it usable to people who do not have a good handle on what happens to be my first language, English. So we're still looking into that, and definitely Russia is a really interesting place full of lots of people who really like strategy games. So that would be a language we definitely looked at. Jiril has a great suggestion that we don't have the knife unit, but when there are some units that run out of ammo, they become a knife. That's a nice idea. It doesn't really fit in too much. I don't really like things running out of ammo, but it's still a cool idea. Now, Pyrogue is talking about the mercenaries, and yes, we basically have two different kinds of units that you sign at the city level. There are like standard mercenaries who are just like a machine gunner or a submachine gunner or a rocket launcher, and then there are what we call the exotic mercenaries who have a specific skill. There are skills to have 360-degree sight. There's one called radar, which sees through walls from a very, very short distance. And there are a lot of very obvious ones about having like lower reload time, and having like a larger area of detonation on your rockets. There's a mine guy who has identify friend or foe on the mine. I did a lot of development on this, and it's really important in Frozen Synapse for the units to be immediately identifiable and easy to remember what they do. So I would never go as far as having sort of stats or anything. But these mercenaries that have sort of a base weapon type and one skill work really well, and they wait for really exciting things to try and get on the city level. I haven't completely finalized exactly how you will sort of unlock them to sign them on the city level, but I think it's probably going to be to do with the things you will do and their personalities. So there might be one who will only sign with you once you've sort of fully eradicated the Blue Sunlight faction, for instance. Also, they may be sort of hanging around in buildings and you're able to sort of rescue them, that kind of thing. For that, it's all about just finding out what works best and what sort of makes it most exciting on the city level. Zorbaz Englander has a very long post full of great feedback and good ideas. He's had a really good idea for something called the Vision Grenade, which is a grenade that you can throw, and when it goes off, it sort of looks around it in 360 degrees for a short period of time. I really like that idea. I don't know if I'll have time to put that in, but that's really a nice unit idea. Finally, Horasius asks whether your player character can go on missions, and yes, as I actually have said a long time ago, he is a character in the game, an agent in the game, just like any other, and you can have him on your primary strike team if you like, and if he gets shot, you lose the game. Now, to finish off this video, and this probably should have gone near the beginning, because this is quite a big thing, I want to talk about saving and loading and restarting. So when I first started designing this game, I knew that it was too early to decide what kind of restarting, saving or loading we would have in mission. I had a lot of ideas, but until you actually play a game properly, you don't know what works best for that game. I'm extremely happy to be able to announce that this game does not have saving or loading or restarting within missions. Now, you can leave the game halfway through a mission and come back to your point, but there's no way for you to restart or redo a mission if you screw up. Now, again, what's right for each game is very different, but what's great about this game with your squad sort of regenerating, with so many different things to do, it's totally fine for you to fail, and it's so interesting to me to be able to create a game where you will be failing quite a lot and have to deal with the repercussions of that. If you actually think, there are so many games which basically do not allow you to fail, that you have to restart. if you fail, or the game is set up in such a way that you would never choose to live with a failure. You would always basically restart or reload a save before you had done something. And by sort of saying that you're not having that in this game, it's kind of a big deal to me. And obviously that is something I'll look for feedback on from you guys during the beta as well. And whether or not I'm going to let you have save points that you can go back to at periods of the city game. I mean, right now I'm going for not allowing that because I just hate the decision of like, well, now I've screwed up, do I want to reload? So basically I don't want to allow that. And again, the game is so much more interesting when the spectrum of outcomes of an engagement is actually the full spectrum between failure and success, rather than basically it's like pretending you could fail, but no one ever chooses to. So they always just reload, so it doesn't actually exist as a thing that ever happens. It's really exciting, and it works really well in this game, and it obviously increases the stakes. So yeah, that's a big deal that I'll be looking for your feedback on. So thank you for watching this video. I'm sorry it was a little while since the last one. I'm going to try and do one on next week, and every week, until the end of my life anyway. So thanks for listening. Give me all of your questions, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.